Watching our friend Jack step by step making homemade pasta and sauce right now on Cooking with Friends.
Hello class, today we're going to learn how to make pasta from scratch. Right now I have my mise en place ready. I have my white flour, I have water, I have salt, and I have oil. 4 basic ingredients to make a good pasta. I also have my measuring cup, my rolling pin, my bench scraper, tool for scraping, and a couple other items I'll explain to you later. Okay, so now we're going to actually make the pasta. We're going to start out with about 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Put it on our table. We're going to make a little well in the center. Now this will normally make enough for 2 to 3 people or an afternoon snack for me, whichever comes first. Now I'm going to add a little bit of salt. Yes, I know it's dry, don't worry. And we're going to add a little bit of oil. Now I'm sorry, I'm Italian, we don't measure a lot of things out. But this is not difficult, you'll be able to do it. So now we're going to take, and this is just room temp water, I'm going to add a little water into the well. I'm going to use my fork and start stirring around. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing the flour that I made in the well into the water. And now I'm just going to bring the well back in. And now I'm going to add a little bit more water. There is no exact amount of water to add to this to make a good dough. A lot depends on the weather. A cool, dry day, your flour is going to have a lower moisture content, and it's going to take more water. On a warm, humid day, your flour has more water content to it, and it's going to take less water. So we're just going to keep going with this. I'm going to build up the wall again. I learned how to do this when I was probably 6 or 7 years old. My mom used to do this a lot at home, and I love her cooking, so I always wanted to know how to make it so I'd be able to do it when I get older. So we're going to take that out. Now we're going to get a little bit more hands-on. We're going to knead the dough here, and we're going to have to add a little bit more water because I want to use all this flour up. Because as Chef H always says, 100% utilization of all food products. So if I started with a cup of flour, I better make sure I make a cup worth of pasta dough, or Chef H will be reminding me about it constantly. All right, we're getting there now. I think just a little bit more water will do this. Now, why did I add the oil? Good question. I like adding the oil, and I only used vegetable oil. I wasn't going to waste the good extra virgin olive oil on it because the pasta is going to be boiled later, and you're going to lose some of the flavor of the extra virgin olive oil. I'm saving that for when I make a quick pan sauce for this, which I will show you near the end of the video. So now the dough is starting to come together, and now I'm going to continue to bring all the flour in, get it off my fingers. Remember, 100% utilization. Now I'm just going to start mixing this all together. And when I'm done, the table should be pretty clean. So just roll it around. And now what I'm using is the palm of my hand. Push down, and the other hand flip it over. This is just a basic kneading technique. And once you get used to it, quick and it's easy. I'll do it in a slower motion for you. This is how you knead the dough by hand. All right. Once this has all come together, it's nice and smooth. I'm going to take a little bit of plastic wrap. Oops, almost went for a ride. We're going to take a little bit of plastic wrap. We're going to cover this up. We're going to let it sit on the table, wrapped, for about 30 minutes. Why, you ask? Another good question. Simple. We want to make sure the flour and water are totally hydrated. So by having that come together and everything's even in there, moisture-wise, it'll make it a lot easier when we go to roll out our dough. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes now. I've unwrapped the plastic off of the pasta dough. Now I'm going to cut the dough in half. And now I'm going to stretch it out by hand. Just a little bit, just to cut down. I'm going to flour my workspace. I'm going to take a regular rolling pin and I'm going to roll it out by hand. How thick should it be? An excellent question again. You guys are really doing well with the questions. As thick as you like. Here again, it's your pasta creation. You make it the way you want it to come out. I want to just thin this side out a little bit. That feels okay. So I'm going to put this on the table. Now what I'm going to do is I got a very large metal spatula. I'm going to use that as my ruler, little pizza wheel, and I'm going to cut it. Now how wide do I want to cut it? It depends what mood I'm in. If I'm not too hungry, I'll do a little spaghetti. If I'm hungry, I'll do a fettuccine. If I'm starving, I'll throw the whole piece in boiling water and eat it in about 4 minutes, however I feel. So now, once I've cut it, I'm going to take my floured sheet pan, move the dough to the floured sheet pan, spread it around, and let it sit here until I've finished with all of the dough. All right, now we're going to show you how to use a pasta machine. Now, some of the machines, they number them 1 through 7 or 7 through 1. You just look for the widest setting. So what I'm going to do is put a little flour on my dough, and I'm going to put it in, turn the crank, and the dough is going to come out. Now, it's not really the prettiest looking dough, but don't worry. We're going to get it to make it look like real good pasta. A little more flour. We're going to run it through the same number 1 again. Here again, we're working the dough. Building up some gluten in here so you have some nice... Okay, so this one came out nice. And now I'm going to make the rollers closer together. And I'm going to continue this till I get to the pasta to the thickness I want. All right, now I'm going to put it through the last roll. So I get the dough the thickness I want. As you notice, that small piece I started with, as you roll it, gets larger and larger. So what I'm going to do next is use my bench scraper, cut the dough into manageable pieces. And now I'm going to flour it because the dough's a little bit sticky again. Today is Monday. Just had thunderstorms come through, so the air's a little wet. So I want to make sure this is nice and dry. And now I'm going to decide, I think I'm going to put it through the fettuccine attachment. So what this is going to do, I have spaghetti and I got fettuccine. I think I'll go for the fettuccine today, so I like that. So I'll feed it in. And I catch it as it's coming out. I'm going to get my tray where I have hand-cut pasta. Now I'm going to take my fettuccine. I'm going to pull the strands apart. Okay. What I'm doing is the pasta, like I said, the weather's a little wet. The dough's still a little damp. So I'm just going to pull the fettuccine apart. Sometimes it comes apart easy. Sometimes you just got to help Mother Nature along. Alright, a little bit more flour on it because we don't want it to stick together. And now I'm going to start heating up my water. I'm going to bring the salted water to a boil. And while that's doing it, I'm going to show you how to make a quick pan sauce to go with this. Okay, now I have my mise en place ready for my quick pan sauce. Nice Roma tomato, a fresh clove of garlic, and I got 3 or 4 fresh leaves of basil. So first things first, I'm going to dice my tomato. I like to do it this way. Just take that little section out, you know, where it attaches to the vine. Not tasty, not pretty. We'll put that off to the side. And we're just going to do a quick little dice. Or we can cut it from the inside, whichever way you like. That's all set. Now, we're going to mince some fresh garlic. First thing we're going to do is pound it on the table. This will allow us to get the skin off. I like to trim both the ends. Now I'm only going to use about maybe 1/3 of this. And now just a quick little fine dice. And last, I'm going to chiffonade the basil. So to chiffonade, you take the basil leaves, lay them down flat. We're going to roll them up nice and tight. And then we're going to cut on the angle. So this is a 90-degree angle. We want to cut at 45. I'm not going to chop. I'm going to slice nice and thin. If you chop, you bruise your basil and it turns brown quicker. All right, my mise en place for my quick sauce is done. All right, now I'm bringing my salted water up to a boil. I'm going to take my fresh pasta, one last shake. I'm going to drop it in, spread it around, just like regular pasta. You want to give it a little stir. And in the amount of time it takes this pasta to cook, I'm going to be able to make that pan sauce for you. Okay, for my pan sauce, I've got a little bit of real butter in the pan. I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil. This is when you use the good stuff. Now what's going to happen? I'm going to melt the butter down. Meanwhile, I'm still watching the pasta. When the pasta comes to the top of the water, about 2 to 3 minutes later, it's done. So now my butter and oil is melted. I'm going to add my tomatoes in. About another minute on the pasta. Okay, now I'm going to add in my garlic. Don't want to cook the garlic too long. I want to just bloom the flavor. I don't want to burn it. The start to smell the garlic, so you know it's starting to cook. All right, the pasta's done. I'm just going to come over to the sink and drain it. Take the pasta, add it in. Finish cooking the pasta with the tomatoes, and then I'm going to plate. Okay, now I'm going to get ready to plate my pasta. Pick it up. The pasta right in the center of the plate. Surround it with garlic, and a lightly cooked fresh tomato. Pepper, a bunch of salt. And now that chiffonade that we did, we're going to place that, just sprinkle it all over the pasta. I love this meal because it reminds me of the Italian flag. The red of the tomato, the white of the pasta, and the green of the basil. So as my grandparents would say, mangia.
If you enjoyed this step-by-step making homemade pasta and sauce with our friend Jack, please like and subscribe to support the channel. Have you made homemade pasta and sauce and would like to share your experience with us? Please do so in the comments below. Thanks for watching.